Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Professor Hank, and in this video we're going to learn how to compare structure variables against each other in C++. So we'll learn how to check for equality, to see if one particular structure variable is less than or greater than the other, etc. So let's go ahead and get started. So let us assume that I've defined a structure with a tag of point, and this structure has got two members, an x variable and a y variable. All right, now let us further say that I have declared two variables of type point, one a and one b, and you want to check to see if they're the same. So, or you want to check to see if they're equal. So what you might be tempted to do is to compare a versus b. Instead, the correct way to compare these 2-point variables against each other is to compare their members. So if you wanted to see if point A and point B were equal, then you'd have to compare the x members of each point variable and the y members of each point variable. So if they're both the same, if both sets of members are the same, then maybe you can say, or you would decide that these things are equal. Now, if you want to decide if one is less than the other or greater than the other, then it's up to you to decide what that means, right? So maybe if both x and y in both structure variables are less than the other, then that's how you would define what it means for a to be less than b. Or you come up with some other definition for what it means to be less than. But the key takeaway here is that you can't compare the structure variables directly against each other. You have to consider, or you have to compare the members against each other. All right, so let's see an example of this. So let us say that I've got that structure declaration. So we'll do point, and we'll have int x, and we'll have int y. All right, so now I'm going to declare 2-point variables, point A and B, and I will assign to A's x 5, I'll assign to A's y 4, and then I'll assign to B's x 5, and to B's y 4. All right, so now if I want to compare them, as I was saying, you can't do this, right? So you can't do something like that. See how we got the red squiggle there? Okay, you get a error message here. It won't let you do that. So if you tried to compile it, even, let's say you wanted to say, so yeah, they are the same. All right, and you tried to compare them, you're going to get a build error. Okay, it's not going to work. So you can't do that. Instead, what you have to do is you have to compare their members. So if a.x is equal to b.x and a.y is equal to b.y, then I'll say they are the same. And see, this is legal. This is no problem. We can do this. Otherwise, I'll say they are not the same. Okay, so now go ahead and compile it and test it. So now when I run this, you can see it says they are the same, right? Because the x member of both structure variables are the same, and the y member of both structure variables are the same. So let's say that I change the y member of the a variable to 2. Well, then that's going to cause this second test expression right here to evaluate to false. And so the whole thing's going to be false. And then you're going to see, that it says they are not the same. So it's up to you to define what equality means. And it's also up to you to define what it means to be less than, equal to, or greater than, or not equal to, or whatever. So let us say that I'm going to decide to define a less than b if ax is less than bx and a.y is less than b.y, right? I would just decide to do that based off of the requirements of whatever software it is that I'm writing. So here, both the x members and the y members have to be less than each other, right? And then we'll do this. We'll say a less than b, and otherwise a is greater than or equal to B, right? Because that's the opposite. If A is not less than B, it has to be greater than or equal to B. So by that definition, A is greater than or equal to B because the definition was what I just said it was, okay? Now that's one way you can check, right? If I was to then say, let's put AX set to 1 and AY set to 2, well then 1 is less than 5, 2 is less than 4. And so now by my definition, which I made up, right, which I decided what it was going to be, then A is in fact less than B. Okay. Another thing you could do is you could say, oh, well, if the sum, maybe you want to add up the contents or something of the structure and compare against that, right? So maybe you can say, well, if the sum of the members of A is less than the sum of the members of B, of the members of B, then it'll be less than. So then you'd have to do something else, right? You'd have to maybe do something like this. Maybe you say int sum A equals A dot X plus A dot Y, and then you say int sum B equals A dot, or B dot X plus B dot Y, and then you just compare those, right? So then you could say, something like this. You could say, well, if sum of A is less than sum of B, it's less than sum of B, then you'll say, oh, well, it's less than or equal to, or it's less than B, A is less than B, otherwise A is greater than or equal to B. So in this case, A is less than B because 1 plus 2 is 3, and 5 plus 4 is 9, so 3 is less than 9, right? And then, of course, if this was like 22, then this wouldn't be the case anymore, right? Because 22 plus 2 is 24, right? And then 24 here is bigger than the 9 in the B. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. So just remember that you can't directly compare structure variables against each other. So you can't do something like this, right? A less than B. Instead, what you'd have to do is something like A dot X less than B dot X and A dot Y less than B dot Y. Okay. Okay, so that's going to bring this video to a close. If you're a student of mine, you have questions about any of the topics that were covered in this video, feel free to drop me an email, stop by my office hours, or hit me up on Zoom online. For the rest of you, if you thought the video was useful, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you thought the video sucked, you got the thumbs down button as well. Consider supporting the channel in various ways. You can subscribe, you can join as a member with additional perks for as little as 99 cents. Leave a comment, whatever. But most of all, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.